All right, doing the Thrashin Risers here with the Bun King bushings. So one of the things that makes this whole job a little bit easier is if you've got a lift, and this is just a Harbor Freight Pittsburgh lift. It's like 140 bucks. It works pretty great, and it's able to get the tires off of the ground. And I just got it strapped down a little bit here, but it's really secure. And then what helps here is that now you can move the forks around and to get to these bolts. So the stock riser does something like this, right, where it goes down in here like this, and then you've got a bolt that goes up inside. Now you can take that out if you want. And then on the other end down here, it looks like this. So this is the underside with this bolt on it. And that's what you're trying to get off. It actually comes off pretty easy. I use this combination here. So I'm holding, and by the way, I'm handicapped here. I'm doing this with one hand, so if I can do it, anybody can do it. But I used a 19, metric 19, and then I used this long bar with a, sorry, my finger's in the way. And then I use this metric 19 with a little swivel on it, and then I use this long bar like this. And then basically was just kind of able to go up underneath through here like this and make a connection to it, you know, with this like this, without having to take the fairing off or any of that kind of stuff. So it's not on super tight. There is some Loctite on it. Then the other thing that I wanted to show is the backside. This is something you don't see very often. So this is the thrashing unit here where everything goes into it, and there's just one little connector right here that comes off. So if you look at the handlebars here, kind of as they're moving around a little bit, you just got this one connector right here that goes into the back. So once you get the bars back on, you just feed that into the back and it's good to go. Now, one of the things that I did differently here is this is the other, so this is, let's just say this is the other one. This was the one that goes right here, like this. So one of the things that I did different, so instead of taking this guy and feeding this in and doing it stock, I bought one of these, and I'll put a link in the video to the size. I went over to Lowe's and just bought this kind of flange bolt here. And then these Gooden type bushings are they're really tight. Like they the diameter in the stock ones here, where did I put the stock ones? So in the stock ones here, these are the stock bushings that come off, and you can see that there is like a spacer. So these are the bushings that come off stock, and then you know, it goes like this. There's like a spacer in between. The Gooden types don't do that. There's no space. There's kind of, the spacer is sort of built into it, and it does make it a little bit more difficult to try to get them in from the bottom. And what I did was I just kind of lubed them up. I had some dry lube here for my kids, some for their bike, for their chain and stuff like that. And I just kind of put a little bit on there, and then did this and fed this down up through the other end, and then just kind of screwed this thing on. And then the process of doing that, it starts to compress this right here. Another thing that you could do, and I thought about doing this too, so I do have this little C-clamp, and it would actually work, you know, to take this little C-clamp and go like this and kind of mash it down in there if I needed to do that. But I think what I've got going right now is actually going to work. And so anyway, I just wanted to kind of show what this situation looked like. I wasn't really able, I saw a bunch of videos with people who were doing risers, but not really kind of what was happening in real time and how they were getting them off and that kind of stuff. So I'll pause here and then come back once I got some more progress here. All right, so we got them on. You know, the thing that you have to do, obviously, before you tighten down the nut, the bolts right here, which these bolts come with the thrashing, with the whole kit. And so you have to make sure you buy the right thing, because there's a kit that you can buy where this is just a solid piece, and then this actually kind of mounts below it. But obviously, if you want to kind of retain the stock-ish look, you need this particular piece, which is the one that runs about $545, I think, on their website. Obviously, it's important to sit on the bike and put yourself in the right spot, and then figure out, you know, where you want to kind of rotate the bars. You need some help. I did enlist my kid to kind of help me with that so he held the bars for me, and then I got them tightened back up. These bushings, these Gooden type bushings, they sunk pretty good up on the top. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but they stick out a little bit on the bottom. The book says these are between 30 and 40 foot-pounds, and I got them down that tight. A little bit of Loctite in there, of course. Same thing up here. You want to put a little Loctite in these. So once I can ride, again, I'm doing these upgrades. I cut my tendon in my thumb, so I probably still got another month or so before I can ride, before I can do a video showing what's going on. But basically, having your bike up on a stand where you can move this around pretty freely, and then where the shock can kind of decompress itself, gives you a little bit more room to get up underneath. This is a hard one to get to. If you take all the fairing and everything off, you're not going to have any problem at all. But between the combination of this guy with the long thing here, and then I used a 19mm socket, and then I also used this guy right here, which has a little bit of a bend in it. And so with that, I was kind of able to turn this and get up underneath on this thing and kind of crank it down. And then I used my torque wrench at the very end just to kind of make sure I was in a good spot. But I mean, I couldn't manhandle them down anymore, especially since the only way that I was really able to get to that one was with one of these. Even my wobbler didn't work. I've got a wobble bar here, but that wasn't enough wobble to get it to go in there. So you actually, or at least I did, was doing it, I needed this one that would be able to swivel on it like that. And it makes it harder when you're trying to really torque it down at the very end. It does make it harder to do that with this, because it just isn't as stable. But anyway, that's kind of what's been done so far. I got these Avon grips. I'll probably change these at some point. Not sure on the mirrors, but that's pretty much what we're going for here. It feels like, for me, so when I get on the bike here, and the cool thing about being on this stand is you can actually get your actual perspective here. You can sit without put both of your feet up. So for me, I'm sitting pretty comfortable right now. I'll hold with this hand so you don't have to see I'm sitting pretty comfortable right now, and I'm 6 feet. I'm about a little over 200 pounds. And if I kind of lean back in my seat a little bit, you can see my arm is stretched out right here. But if I'm in a good riding position, this feels pretty comfortable. I mean, obviously, if you were coming from a touring bike, or you're coming from a heritage or something where, you know, the bars are a little bit more back here, it's going to feel a little weird for sure. You know, I rode a Honda Shadow, and it had those, you know, cruiser bike grips on it, or bars on it, that kind of came down here. It's almost like you're riding an old bicycle. So these, I like these. I'm not sure. There might be a pair of grips over some period of time that I'll switch to, or excuse me, handlebars that I'll switch to. But right now, this is good. It definitely gets them a little closer to me for sure. It doesn't feel like I'm, you know, I have to move my body up as much. I do have a clear view, the XL coming. I noticed, you know, I only put 20 miles on this bike. Well, that was interesting. So that's pretty tight right there. That one's pretty tight. To pull that up a little bit. So that's interesting. That actually kind of pulled out in the back. These don't, if you look at the wiring down here, if you look at the wiring back here, I know that's one question that a lot of folks are going to have. I did not even feel like really, these are this hard, it's pretty loose right here, right? And I didn't have any problems at all with my brake line. So I didn't even have to bend it, to be honest with you. I didn't have to do anything. I know some folks were, you know, talking about having to bend it down here, and then it brushes on here and kind of, you know, get some issues there. But I didn't have to do any of that. But there is this one connector back here for this thing, and I guess I just need to get that a little bit more. Give it a little bit more space. But obviously, you know, these are all the kind of tweaks and things that you need to do before you get out on the road. But yeah, I know that was a question for me too. So you can see, like, if I'm in the front here and I kind of move these around, it doesn't feel like anything is really tight. When you get these risers on, and you kind of feed the handlebar up in between it, you'll feel some tension for sure. But once you get the bar in here and then you kind of, you know, position the bar right, this will all, you know, the tension won't be quite as bad on here. And so really the only one that was giving me any tension right here was this one that plugs right into the back of this guy right here. And so it was just one of those things I'll have to watch, I guess. It's this piece right here. It doesn't feel like it's really under a lot of tension right now, but so that's me at 6 feet, and this is right where my eyes are. Put the camera right in front, and if I just kind of lay my hand out like that, or my arm out like that, there's not a lot of bend in it. But again, going back to before I was messing with this guy right here and figured out that cable wasn't connected. It's the way, to me, I think it's the way the bike was intended. It's a sport touring bike, so you don't want to turn it into a, you know, into a heritage bike. I mean, maybe you do, but I don't. So I like this. I think I'm going to go with this for a while. I know a lot of folks do 6.5s, and then they're like, I need the 9.5s. Which, you know, honestly, if they were a little high, if they were a little higher, but back a little bit more, that could be, you know, kind of cool too, right here, because then my arm is actually bent a little bit more. So that could be kind of cool too. But I'm gonna go with this. Hope this video was helpful. I bought these from somebody on a Facebook group. I didn't buy them brand new. So there's a bunch of them out there, especially the 6.5 inches ones. There's a bunch of them out there because a lot of folks get these, and I think they decide to go to the 8.5s or the 9. I think the 9.5s have a pullback as well from these guys. So anyway, hope this video was helpful, and you know, have fun, ride safe.